All right, going over our bell ringers, guys. So day 79 bell ringer, or whatever day it is for your semester, it is our EOC review bell ringer. We are working without a calculator as much as possible on our EOC. That is our place in every semester for the biggest place of opportunity where we could improve. Also, I've noticed most students get very nervous when I take a calculator away. So if you practice it now, you'll get less nervous and you'll figure out where your mistake is. Because as I've mentioned numerous times before, your mistakes are typically in the same spot. You will make the same mistake over and over and over again if you allow yourself to do it. And that's how you can fix that mistake. So this is going to be our function notation question. And it says find g of negative 6, when g of x equals x plus 3, x minus 1. We've done a ton of these, so hopefully this is brought to the forefront of your brain already. That is in the place of x because this is our function notation. So now we are going to move the x out or substitute the negative 6 in the place of x. So that means we have an x plus 3, x minus 1. We're going to put a negative 6 in here, negative 6 in here. As we're going to work straight across our fraction as always, and we're going to get negative 6 plus 3 is going to give us a negative 3, because if I owe you 6 and I hand you $3, I still owe you 3. If I owe you 6 and then I spend another, I'm going to owe 7. The double negatives are going to give us a positive 3 over 7. Without a calculator, typically your answers are going to be in just like that, in that form. 3 over 7 is perfect. It can't be reduced. Remember, we are in Math 1. If the fractions are reducible, you definitely want to reduce them. Look at number 2 without a calculator. I put in a graph here just for our notes. Remember, you're going to have your large piece of graph paper. You're going to use it as you see fit. I recommend folding it into quarters just so it's not so overwhelming because those squares are tiny and there is a lot of them. So also double count. Determine the equation of the axis of symmetry. So that's the x equals equation. That's that vertical line where your graph is going to reflect over it and match on either side. I always think of the axis of symmetry as the body of a butterfly. So ideally, when you draw a butterfly, his wings match on either side. So it's the line that makes the body of that butterfly. So for the parabola, and that's your quadratic shape, whether it be positive or negative, that pass through the points negative 4, 0, and 6, 0. These are x-intercepts because we see that the y value is 0. I would go plot them because I'm a visual person. So negative 4, 0, and 6, 0. It doesn't tell if it's a positive quadratic or a negative quadratic. So either way, we're just thinking about that it is going to cross in those two places. Remember, another just vocabulary push, because I can't say it enough, x-intercepts are going to be also known as roots, solutions, and zeros along the way, depending on the problem. If we are looking for the axis of symmetry, again, that means either side has to match perfectly. So I'm going to have to travel the same number. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. For it to cut it in half, I'm going to cut that in half. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is half of 10. That's the midpoint between those two x-intercepts, and that's where that axis of symmetry, the vertical line that would cut your parabola into two matching parts. So it's going to be a positive 1. X equals a positive 1. Remember, x equals is a vertical line. Again, another just y equals is a horizontal line. So this part not pertaining to this question, but just to stir up some more memories, especially after class this morning when I realized some of the basic stuff we've dropped. It's in the back of the brain. It's dusty. So remember, that's your horizontal line. Y equals has a 0 slope. Horizontal 0 slope, y equals hoi. Vertical lines have an undefined slope, and it's an x equals. That's vertical, undefined, x equals. Hoi vux. I write that at the top of my paper almost every time I have an opportunity if I know I'm about to deal with linear equations. Definitely EOC day. As soon as you get to where we're starting, I would write that in the corner of my blank sheet of paper, just in case you run into a horizontal and vertical line conversation, because 0 slope versus undefined slope are easy to mix up. Number 3, which statement is correct for the quadratic function graph below? I got some good questions on this one from a few of you that reached out. You're choosing the best answer from this. Don't overthink. Overthink is equally as it's great. I want you to, I love the idea that we're thinking to the next step. But if it's a multiple choice question and it's EOC day, you have to pick the best answer of the ones given. So we're looking at our quadratic. We have our x-intercepts here. That's a positive 1. That's a negative 3. So our solutions would be -3 and +1. As a coordinate, again, just as a reminder, that's -3, 0, 1, 0, because the x-intercepts are always when the y values are 0. Our vertex up here is at a -1, 8. That means our axis of symmetry is x equals -1 as an equation. This is a sad face, so a negative quadratic. So that means we're going to have a max because we got maximum problems if we're frowning. And that max value is always going to be your y value. So the max is equal to 8. Not what these are talking about, but just again, throwing it out there as many times as possible. So the function of the graph is y equals a. A is what controls whether there's a positive or negative graph. That is not what they're looking for you to be paying attention to right now. And it looks like from your answer choices, you're really just looking, does it have a max? Does it have a min? And then what are my zeros as factored form? So if these are the zeros, remember we've talked about it, that is not the factored form. That is actually stating that this graph, x equals -3 and x equals a +1. To put it in factored form, we're going to move this back over and set it equal to 0. So that's going to become x plus 3 equals 0. That's my factored form. And then x minus 1 equals 0. That's my factored form. So factored would be x plus 3, x minus 1. Solutions, +1, -3. So we're looking for x plus 3, x minus 1 with a max value of 8. So our right answer would be B. Hopefully we got to that one. Number 4, a line y equals mx plus b passes through the point -2, 7. As soon as I see that, I'm going to think x and y, and is parallel. Hopefully this is really stuck to the front of our brain at this point. We've done a bunch of them. Same slope with a line given. What is the new value of b? So same slope as the line given is going to be that 2. And then we're going to use our x and our y, and we're going to solve for b. Hopefully you already did this and did it well on your bell ringer last time. I guess it was a couple days ago, depending on when you're doing this. And then our y value, and we're going to solve for b. 7 equals a -4 plus b. We're going to add 4 to both sides. 7 equals, b equals 11. Disregard my 7. Having a struggling brain day today, guys. Sorry. B equals 11. So the answer to this question would be b equals 11. If they asked you to write the equation, just to finish out our thought, it's y equals same slope, x plus 11. So that would be the equation, and the answer to the question is B. Number 5, cost in dollars of a membership in a fitness center, we did a ton of these at the beginning of the semester, is given by the function C of m equals 30m plus 55, where m is a number of months. Pay attention to your units of measure. A person is a member. In dollars, how much is the cost of a membership for 1 year? So again, units of measures, we talked about it. How many months are in a year? This is going to be a 12 instead of a 1. The common misconception would be that you would plug in a 1 because you're just not thinking it all the way through. And that is going to go in the place of months. So in this case, our quote unquote X value, our input value is going to be 12. So we're going to put in 30 times 12 plus 55. This did not say without a calculator. You could also put in the function 30x plus 55 and then go to your table and find it as well. You can put it in the y equals on a TI-84, or you could put it in Desmos and then get the table and plug in the value of 12 if the math is giving you some issues or makes you nervous. Without a calculator, just to make sure we're practicing, 30 times 12. So 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 3 is 3. So that's going to give us 360 in the event you don't know that math off the top of your head. So that's 360 plus 55 is going to give us 415. So it's going to cost $415 to have a membership for 1 year if it is modeled by 30 per month with a flat rate of 55. Number 6, without a calculator, solve for the solution of the system. This is very likely to be an inactive question on your EOC, guys. Definitely. Because these already match. We just need one of them become negative. Your choice. Your work does not have to match mine. You can multiply the top one by a -1 or the bottom one by a -1. I'm going to go with the top one just to save myself some math and so I can draw my arrows. So negative 7x, negative 2y. This is where we usually stop if we're going to make a mistake. You know, if you're that person, you've done it already a bunch. So that's why I like to be able to use the arrows. And then I'm going to compare these two, and I'm going to add straight down. Positive 8x minus 7x is going to give me 1x. These guys are going to cross out. Positive 30 minus 24 is going to give me 6. So x equals 6. It says solve for the solution, so that means I need the x and the y. So we're going to take this 6 and plug it back in, whichever one you want. I will say that I always recommend plugging it into one of the equations given to you, not the one you made necessarily. So that's going to be 7 times our 6 plus 2y equals 24. So I'm just taking the original top equation. Again, your work does not have to match mine from here. It's just the answers have to be the same. So 42 plus 2y, because 6 times 7 is 42, plus 2y equals 24. We're going to subtract 42 from both sides. So 2y equals, just for old school, make sure we remember, minus 24, 3, this becomes 12, this will be 8, and 1, so we have 18. 2 times y, divide by 2, because that's the inverse of multiplication, and y equals 9. So our coordinate should be 6, 9, and that should be the solution. Also, if this was with a calculator, you can type them into Desmos just like that. No work done, no moving anything around, no adding, subtracting, and look for their intersection, and you should find their intersection at 6, 9. Hopefully that ironed out some confusions or issues. As always, reach out if I can help you more.